the track. Sorry.
So looking at the margins here, a length and a quarter by a half a length.
Stewards are just deciding here where the interference has occurred. Now, the stewards have to be convinced that the interference has caused the result of the race to be changed. It's not a matter of just whether there was interference or not. It has to affect the result.
Camera 2.
Glenn Boss, first past the post. Darren Gauci second. Stephen King third. Plenty of experience. There's the chief stipendiary steward, chairman of the stewards, Des Gleeson, as they take another look. Remember last week the protest dismissed in the Grosby Gold Cup. Protest upheld in the Toorak Handicap, that minor one with Pernod going up from fourth into the placings. Umram going up to second on that day.
I'll tell you something, Bruce, this protest won't be upheld in my opinion. That horse has won too convincingly. There was interference. The other horses have had their runs affected, but not enough to affect that result, in my opinion.
So jockeys and trainers look on as they prepare a statement to make and try and be as persuasive as they possibly can.
Yeah, there are some trainers who are like Philadelphia lawyers. They can get in there and talk the stewards into things. Some jockeys are like that too. And some jockeys are not really comfortable.
Firstly, Darren Gauci, will you make a submission in respect of your objection?
Approaching kind of metre mark-off between the Boston Suasia and Blur on my inside. When they sprinted, my horse didn't think quite as quick, but I was still there and I was holding my position. And at that time of the race, I felt my horse was starting to pick up. As you see, Suasia has come in and taken my running. I was denied a fair and straight run to the winning post. By having to grab my horse, I've lost a length in that, and also having to come out around him again, I've lost another half, 3/4 of a length easily. And I felt with a straight run, I was denied a straight run to the winning post, which I'm entitled to. And I felt that my horse still made, which it shows on the film, he still made a length over the concluding stages. The other horse is running a fair way, I realise that, a long way. But it did stop my horse's momentum. I believe it definitely cost me the race. Like I said, I was denied a straight run to the line from where I was. My horse went straight.
Any further submission?
No, sir.
No. Glenn Boss, do you wish to question Darren Gauci on his submission?
Oh, I just want to know when he's going to go for the Academy Award. That was a pretty good performance, but I don't think my interference to Darren, I think it was quite minimal. And to say that he would have beaten me, I think the interference that when I come across Darren was well and truly inside the 200 metre mark. And I think I beat him a length 3/4 with it to him, Darren.
Length and a half?
Length and a half.
By a half a length.
I just doubt whether Darren would have made any significant improvements from where he was from that point.
Well, Stephen King, will you make a submission in respect of your objection?
Yes, sir. Well, after his last win at Caulfield, Colin and myself spoke about how we're going to ride this horse today, being at Flemington, and the possibility of the horses coming out wide, which they did. We came to the conclusion that we'd give the horse every possible chance early in the race, and the last 200 would make the best of his last 200. With this weight, we're always concerned that he wouldn't sprint, but he would grind away at him. At that stage, when I went up to Glenn Boss was about 4 off me, out wide. I was about 4 horses inside Glenn Boss. I only had the opportunity to give my horse 2 forehands, and I was just about to wind him up the last 200 when Glenn Boss's horses started to roll in. At that stage, Glenn Boss didn't stop riding. He's crossed my line completely. I've had to grab hold of my horse, severely checking. And as far as the winning margin's concerned, I don't think it would have been that great if I hadn't had the check. So I just felt that Glenn Boss certainly cost me a winning opportunity when he's crossed my line.
Glenn Boss, do you wish to question Stephen King?
Yeah, just when you say that I don't cost you the winning margin, what do you mean by that? Like you wouldn't have beat me home when you say that?
What I mean is I don't think when you look at the winning margin, the length and a half, I certainly don't think that would have been the margin.
So well, the margin between your mount and Glenn Boss's was 2 lengths.
As I said, I mean, I don't think there would have been that margin if the check hadn't occurred. Now, depends on who wins. It's hard to say, but my horse was starting to wind up, as I said, and with that heavy weight, we always decided that we'd make the last 200 his best 200. And as I said, Glenn Boss hadn't stopped riding, he's crossed my line, I've had to severely check and then get back in it, which you can't can't account him for that because with that weight he can't pick himself back up again.
Well, do you believe the interference cost you the race?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Glenn Boss, any further questions of Stephen King?
No questions.
No. Mr Hawkes, any questions of any of the riders or any submissions?
Do I get comment on what he said?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Make a submission, sorry.
Sorry.
In respect of Stephen King,
Yeah.
you make a submission,
Thanks.
yes.
I believe Stephen King's interference. There's no doubt I've come out and balked Stephen King. The mistake I probably made, I stopped as I just got to him and virtually straightened up right in front of him. I believe that interference probably happened anywhere from the 70 to the 60 metre mark. I doubt whether, even though he said his horse got big weight, I've got more weight, then I'd stop my horse just as well and get going. But I don't believe within 50 metres he would have picked up and beat me. Made up a 2-length deficit within that short space of time. So I believe that there's no doubt I've caused some inconvenience to Stephen King's mount, but I don't believe it cost him the race.
All right. Stephen King, do you wish to question Glenn Boss on his submission?
As far as Glenn's saying about correcting his mount, I think it already crossed me by the time he corrected it.
All right, well, is that a question or a statement?
Well, Glenn said he didn't, but I just said he
No, I
did,
told you I
so-
did correct you in front of you.
Darren Gaucho, I didn't give you the opportunity of asking Glenn Boss a question on his submission in respect of your objection. Do you wish to question him?
No, sir.
No. Mr Hawkes, any questions or submissions?
Just like to make a couple of points, sir. I mean, if you watch the video, was a half, maybe 3-passing horse off the outside fence all the way. Even before the interference, the horse was continually drifting in. He'd already pushed our horse, made him sort of go in at least another horse and a half more than he should have, even before the original interference came along. We were a half a length behind him. By the time he'd crossed us, we've had to check, come around. In my opinion, it's definitely cost us the race, but the cruise boss has never stopped riding from the time, even before the interference started, when the horse started drifting to correct his mount, and all the way to the post, never really stopped riding his horse at all. As soon as you've seen our horse finished our race off extremely well. When the interference happened with 59, it's a bit hard to go from going to the line, stop dead, come to the outside, and still hit the line 100 when you've already copped that interference. So I got no doubt if we hadn't have had the interference, you can see our horse has still hit the line dead straight. If he had even corrected his mount earlier, it would have been benefit to us, but he didn't stop riding at all. I think that's the crucial point. We're entitled to a straight free run down the straight, and he never gave that us to at all.
Mr Little, any questions of any of the riders or submissions?
Just a submission, sir.
Yes.
This horse, in his previous start, just got to the line and won the race in the last 2 bounds, and Stephen and I had a plan that with a fair bit of weight that we would ride it the same way, save his run to the last possible moment. And I believe that Stephen never had the opportunity to fully test the horse. And I think all videos point to the fact that he was always travelling better than Blanchette. At every stage of the race he had that horse beat. The margin is great, but it's my opinion that he should have easily beaten Blanchette. I think that's quite obvious in all videos. So it cost us quite a bit of ground. Arguable how much, but I believe he was easily going to beat Blanchette by at least a length and a half.
Well, under our rules, to be successful in the protest, the stewards will have to be satisfied that your horse beat the winner, the horse that he's protesting against.
But I mean, we're talking about where the horse should have finished if he wasn't interfered with.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't protested against the second horse, but I'm using it as a benchmark.
Yeah, I understand.
And I'm saying it should have beaten the second horse by, in my opinion, a length and a half. It was all videos point to the fact that he was always travelling better and he was always going to beat that horse home.
Understand that. Mr Perry, any questions or submissions?
So, I'd just like to say that I thought coming up to choice of shifting, that Darren Gaucho's horse was ridden along and wound up. I thought when the shift came that he might have, for 1, maybe 2 strides, had to come across his hurdles, and then was very quickly to get back into his whip action, and I don't think it sort of impeded him that much at all. And I thought Glenn, all the way to the line, was trying to straighten our horse, and our horse wasn't fully tested out to get to the line, and I thought the third horse was well beaten.
Mr. Wallace, any questions or submissions?
No, I've got nothing further.
Any questions from the stewards? No, if you all wait outside, we'll give consideration to the objections. Thank you.
Notice Max Presnell there behind Paul Perry. So you've heard the submissions from the riders and also the trainers. Now it's up to the stewards to deliberate. 15 of the entries in today's sub-quality have an entry for the Tui's New Melbourne Cup. Craig Newitt comes on to Pantani as we look at the field.
1 Freemason, Darren Gauci. 2 Spirit of Westbury, Damien Oliver. 3 Cyclades, Scott Seamer. 5 Native Jazz, Danny Nikolic. 6 The Second Mortgage, Karen McAvoy. 7 Armstrong, Darren Beedman. 8 Piaget, Luke Curry. 9 Requiem, Greg Childs. 10 The A-Train, Glenn Boss. 12 Firetone, Michael Rodd. 13 La Destina, Reese McLeod. 14 Leicester Thunderwing, Chris Muntz. 15 Little Miss Quick, Danny Beasley. 16 Miss Meliss, Corey Brown. 17 Old Tawny, Peter Mertens. 18 Pantani, Craig Newitt. 19 Paston, Brett Preble. 20 Denarch, Michelle Payne.
Here in the betting ring, confirmation that this is the toughest race of the day. And, of course, punters not wanting to do a lot at the moment because they're still waiting the outcome of that protest.
Yes, the protest, it feels like we have to survive the protest and back 2 winners, but I think we'll survive it, Pat.
And it's about a $75,000 result for you. Favourite at this stage is Miss Melissa, just a touch over each way odds at this stage.
So that protest still on as we go back to the protest room now. Now, I think the result may have been given, and so we'll find out in just a moment. You can see John Hawkes leaving the stewards' room. So let's go down to Peter Donegan.
The result hasn't been given as yet, Bruce. What happened was that the chairman of stewards, Des Gleeson, has just called the connections back in. All the way through the hearing, as you heard, they were referring to the margins being 1.5 lengths by 1/2 length. Now, Des, to be absolutely correct with everything, called the connections back in and told them that the margins were 1.25 lengths by 1/2 length. So at this stage, the protest is still on and we're still waiting to hear. But it's no holds barred in there. As you can see, there's big money up for grabs.
It's interesting, Pete, because we did give 1.25 lengths by 1/2, and we were wondering how it got out to 1.5 lengths at that stage. Let's have a look at the opening totes for the sub-quality.
1 Freemason, $8.60. 2 Spirit of Westbury, $9. 3 Cyclades, $11.40. 5 Natives Jazz, $14.80. 6 The Second Mortgage, $12.10. 7 Armstrong, $25.80. 8 Piaget, $13.20. 9 Requiem, $7.60. 10 The A-Train, $33.30. 12 Firetone, $107. 13 La Destina, $84.80. 14 Leicester Thunderwing, $15.60. 15 Little Miss Quick, $11.60. 16 Miss Meliss, $5.80. 17 Old Tawny, $52.70. 18 Pantani, $76. 19 Paston, $29.50. And 20 Denarch, $50.40.
Miss Meliss, the favourite here at about $5.80. Cummings needs her to run first or second to make it into the Tui's New Melbourne Cup. We see the start for the sub-quality. Big field, barriers important here at the 2,500 metre start?
Barriers are important because, as you can see, there's only a very short run to that very sharp turn out of the straight. Now, horses will be jockeying for positions there. They have a long run up the side of the course where they can further get into better position. But it depends on the pace of the race. If the pace is slow, barriers are critical. If the pace is fast and they string out in the race, then barriers are not so critical.
Plenty of value here. Who have you gone for?
Well, Freemason, he's a drop kick of a horse. He never wins too often, but I've gone with him because his form's been really consistent. And look, it's a very open race, and I think you'll see that in the betting ring.
Sean Bartholomew's gone for the Second Mortgage. Graham Samperi, Miss Melissa and Richard Freemason. By the way, Capstow Way, we've been told, has broken down. That would mean that he would be out of the Tui's New Melbourne Cup. He's 14th on the qualifying at the moment. We had nearly 100,000 people here at Flemington on this day last year, and the crowd continues to build. Right in the middle is Jason Dunstall with a pocket full of cash.
I'm down here in the Tui's New Marquee with Simon Holloway, the Managing Director of Tui's Victoria. Simon, obviously a busy week. What does this week mean for Tui's Victoria?
Well, Jason, the Melbourne Cup is obviously one of the most highly regarded sponsorships in Australia, if not in the Southern Hemisphere, and it's a very important sponsorship as a result to our company. But it's also the Melbourne Cup's obviously one of the greatest horse races in the world. So as a business, we're very, very privileged to be involved with it. This year, we're all about getting behind a theme called Backing the Punter, whereby we're looking over the course of the Twos New Melbourne Cup Day of providing opportunities to get as many people involved as possible. As part of that, we have 30 Tooheys new ambassadors who will be on course during the day, providing assistance to people to give them directions, as well as handing out 80,000 punter packs, which provide maps of the course, as well as giving information on the drought relief.
Now, I know Tooheys New are running a huge campaign to help out drought-affected families. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, we've got two programs that are going to be run during the course of the day. The first one is the Backing the Punter, whereby during the first 6 races of the day, we give the opportunity to one lucky punter to turn a losing bet into a winning bet up to the value of $5,000 for each of the first 6 races of the day, and then up to $10,000 for the Tooheys New Melbourne Cup. And then we're going to match each of those dollars to the drought appeal. And the second part of the program is on Tooheys New Melbourne Cup Day. We're going to run a promotion called Shout for the Drought, whereby for each Tooheys New can sold during the day, we will contribute 5 cents per can to the drought appeal.
Well, I know it's much needed funds for the drought relief appeal, and I'm tipping the number of Tooheys cans we get through, it's going to run into a tidy sum of money, isn't it?
Yes, we're looking to contribute to the drought appeal something in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Magnificent. Now, are you a racing man, Simon?
I'm a race watcher, but not a heavy punter.
What about a tip for the Amy Victoria Derby?
Well, I think it's going to be definitely it's going to be a 2-horse race. I think Helena and Davidoff, but I think I'm going to go for Davidoff. One, because one of the owners is a very close friend of mine, and also I think all the sentimental support behind Damien Oliver should be able to carry that horse through.
Simon, great catching up with you, and let's hope it's a huge week for Tooheys New. Good on you.
Thanks, Jason.
Late riding change 2 in the Salinger Stakes today. Kerrin McAvoy has gone on to 16 Cosmic Stripe. So Kerrin McAvoy, the rider there. We'll be back with the horses in the mounting out for the Saab Quality. Rose is looking splendid on Amy Victoria Derby Day as the horses parade for the Saab Quality, the Old Hawthorn Handicap. And 15 of the runners here are in the Tooheys New Melbourne Cup, or hoping to be in. Freemason, 5th in the Caulfield Cup. He's running the McKinnon the last couple of years, where he's been 4th and 12th last year. Not bad form in Sydney, good run in the Cup.
It was a great run in the Caulfield Cup. Look, he's a consistent horse. He's drawn barrier 5. That'll be a bit of a help. I don't think there's a lot of speed in this race. Hasn't won for quite some time, and he doesn't win too often. But, look, you just can't rule him out. He's got to carry the 58 kilos, but he's a big, strong horse. He'll do it.
2 Spirit of Westbury. He was 2nd in this race last year, behind May the Horse Be With You. Last start, 10th in the Cranbourne Cup, went favourite, and that was 24 days ago.
Well, this preparation this spring, he hasn't really been putting it together. He's got Damien Oliver in the saddle. That'll be a help to him, and he's drawn a good gate in barrier 2, but I just don't think he can do it on the form he's shown in recent starts.
3 is Cyclades from New Zealand, 2nd in the Auckland Cup, and has won a Wellington Cup. Last start, 8th at Geelong in the Cup there behind Media Puzzle.
Wasn't a bad run. He did get hampered in the run there, and he did settle a long way back and got home quite well in the race. So it wasn't a bad run in the Geelong Cup. His form before that is in New Zealand. Hard to line up that form, but it was consistent. He's there with a chance.
By the way, the protest's still going on in race number 2. We don't have the result. Give it to you as soon as we get it. Well, it was this time last year Native Jazz would be favourite, but he seems to have lost form. He won the Craigley Stakes last year, but he was 11th in the Metropolitan.
Is he a light of other days? That's the question with Native Jazz. He was a great horse. Is he still one? Danny Nikolic, of course, has ridden a winner already. He's trained on the course, but I just can't have him, Bruce, on his recent form.
6 the Second Mortgage. Well, the Moroni stable have won this race the last couple of years with May the Horse Be With You and Brew, who went on to win the Cup. 14th in the Caulfield Cup, won the Winning Edge at Caulfield before that.
Look, I thought his run in the Caulfield Cup was fairly ordinary. He did win a qualifying race to get into the Caulfield Cup. It was a blanket finish in a weak race. I think his form looks better than it actually is, but he is a strong star and he's trained on the course. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd run into a place.
Gee, look at Armstrong. I haven't seen him before. He's a weight for age winner at Group 1 in New Zealand. Fifth in the Rotorua Plate last start over 1900, so he jumps up Darren Beadman to ride.
Once again, New Zealand form hard to read. The last time he appeared in Australia, he ran last in the Sydney Cup. He's drawn 18. I just can't have horses from 18 whose form isn't red hot and his isn't.
8 Piaget, not in the Melbourne Cup, one of the few that isn't. 6th at Geelong in the Cup, 2nd in the Metropolitan, 1 at Flemington in September.
Used to train this horse. He's had a few problems with his front legs. That's why he hasn't had too many starts, but he's starting to put it together in staying races. Good run in the Metropolitan, but then he was just a fair run in the Geelong Cup behind Media Puzzle, who outclassed him. Look, he's right here. He loves the track. He could run a place.
9 Requiem's been in good form. 2nd at Geelong in the Cup behind Media Puzzle. That looks to be pretty good form. And prior to that, 2nd in the Winning Edge. He's on the up.
He is on the up. Ultra consistent form this spring. Lovely looking horse. He's got the breeding by Danehill. He's a son of Danehill. A beautiful horse, but he's drawn 20. Look, he'll battle along. Could run a place as well, but I'm just not on him.
10, the A-Train won the Adelaide Cup in May, 1 at Flemington prior to that over 2,500. Form this time in modest.
Yeah, it is modest, ordinary, in fact. And since he won the Adelaide Cup, he's done nothing. He's drawn 17. Glenn Boss will do his best, but good luck.
11 is scratched, so the next will be 12, Firetane. Michael Rodd is the rider here. 12th in the Grosby, 13th in the Winning Edge. His best form was in Adelaide in May.
Yeah, a long time back. Michael Rudd, a top young rider. He's a rider on the rise, but his recent form, as you said, no good.
So let's pause for a moment. We're going back to the stewards' room because the jockeys and trainers are going back after the deliberation on the second event on the program. Protest 3rd and 2nd against 1st. Well, here's Le Destina. We'll go there in a moment, but Le Destina, number 13, 5th in the Benalla Cup, 8th at Moonee Valley before that. Was 4th in the Brisbane Cup at 40-1.
Drawn well. Jason Patton looking at a good ride. I can't have it.
Is greater than the margin between the horses on both occasions, and both protests are therefore upheld. The amended placings being Planchette 1st, Blur 2nd and Choisir 3rd. And we'll see all your riders before you leave. Darren Gauci, I said in the view of the stewards, the interference caused by Choisir getting in is greater than the margin between the horses on both occasions, and both protests are therefore upheld. And we'll see your riders before you leave. Planchette 1st, Blur 2nd and Choisir 3rd.
Sensation here, there's no doubt about that. Richard's nearly fallen off his stall alongside of me. Both protests have been upheld. Planchet, Blur and Choisir is the way they have now finished. So Planchet, Darren Gauci has beaten Blur, Stephen King and Choisir, Glenn Boss.
I can't believe that, Bruce. That is an absolute sensation. That I think the stewards have got it wrong. I don't think there was any way that Choisir could have lost that race, but the stewards have decided that the interference was good enough. But boy, that will go down as one of the most contentious protests in recent racing history.
14, Leicester Thunderwing, was competitive in the derbies in Adelaide and Queensland. 5th in the Winning Edge, had good sectionals late in the race.
Yeah, he did. He got home better. Look, he's likely to be over the odds here, Leicester Thunderwing. He's drawn well. Chris Munt's a very good jockey from Sydney, 51 kilos. He's probably a better chance than he appears on the tote.
Little Miss Quick, trainer Leon McDonald had his back broken during the week, but he's made it to Flemington after being kicked by a horse. She's got good form. 2nd in the Coonji, lost a race to Maccabi Diva on protest here before that.
Yeah, she's a mare on the up, and her form has been ultra consistent. The worry is the barrier 21.
Arguably the most interesting runner. 16, Miss Molesse. 11 Melbourne Cups for Bart Cummings. This horse has to run 1st or 2nd a day, this mare, to get Bart a runner in this year's Tooheys New Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, she's short on the tote, and I think that's the Cummings factor there. People betting with sentimentality. I think she's unders. I think she'll be longer in the ring. Her form is good. The 4th in the Winning Edge was a good run. She looks very well in the yard, but she's got the job ahead of her.
This horse is in a bit of form. 8 years of age, Ron Hutchison, the trainer. 5th at Geelong and 4th at Flemington. Old Tawny.
Old Tawny, yeah, he's pretty old, and look, he's a consistent performer, but once again, another one with the job ahead of him.
Then Pantani, number 18, was 9th in the Grosby Gold Cup, won the South Australian Derby as a 3-year-old.
The drawn wide, it has been out of form since then. 19,
Pestham comes in as an emergency. 6th in the Coonji. He's been up a long time, but he's consistent.
a horse in the race with a chance. He's a consistent performer. He does run well here at Flemington, and I think he'll do a good job for you if you backed him at long odds.
And 20 Donarch won a couple of country cups and then third at Geelong. A surprise, has been over the hurdles as well, gets a run.
Yeah, Geelong Cup run was one out of the box, but his perform before that was very consistent. He's not without a chance as well at long odds.
Well, Damien Oliver is riding Spirit of Westbury in this race today, and you can see on the breeches, well, we could see
the name of Jason Oliver, his late brother who died last week tragically in a track accident. And there he is, J. Oliver on Damien Oliver's breeches there. That's a lovely tribute to Jason, and I think Damien thinks that Jason is up there riding with him.
So he's carrying a lot with him, isn't he, Damien, as he goes to the post on a horse that last year ran second in this race.
Close the shop, let's take a drive, take a break.
Horses behind the barrier for the Saab Quality. Both the protests upheld in the L'Oreal Paris Plate. Let's check the final dividends as we see Jason Oliver's breeches there on Damien.
Number 2, Planchet, 630 and 210. 4 Blur, 190. 1 Choiser, 160. Quinella, $17. Trifecta, 112 even. And the Exacta, 32.30.
There's a buzz around Flemington at the moment after that protest result. An absolute buzz here, and I think people are still scratching their heads.
They're all going back to 1987 when Our Poetic Prince was lost the race to Marwong in a Caulfield Guineas, and that was the most controversial, and I can't think of one that has been more controversial since.
Well, Native Jazz here. He was favourite for the Melbourne Cup at one stage last year. There's Damien Oliver, who through his manager yesterday requested that we just thank everybody on behalf of his mum, Pat, and himself for the well wishes and the support they've had from both Australia and overseas. It's been overwhelming, and it's been great for the family in what has been a shocking week for them.
He's a wonderful young man. He's a great rider. Lesser jockey may not be able to carry that burden and ride well, but you could never say that about Damien Oliver. His ability is above most jockeys.
Pestham about to come up. He's a hardy animal. He has been going around. He ran second in the Winter Cup in Sydney and has just kept on rolling around. First two here automatically go into the Tui's new Melbourne Cup. The only horse at the moment from this field that is assured of a run is Freemason. The others are all battling. They are trying to get into the Tui's new Melbourne Cup. They need a first or second place here.
And every year it throws up a couple of horses who do fight their way into the field and hold a couple of good chances out of the field.
Requiem's drawn wide. Little Miss Quick, one of the last to come up as we join Wayne Wilson.
Little Miss Quick going to her position. Little Miss Quick goes in. They're set for the Saab. Ready to jump. It's the Derby start, 2,500 metres. Post position's important. Ready.
Righto, boys.
Racing. Spirit of Westbury began nicely on the inside. Freemason dropping back with La Destina going forward. Native Jazz. Pestham began nicely. Here comes the speed from out wide. Pantani, the second Mortgage. Armstrong showing good speed. Requiem sliding over, trying to get into a spot. The A-Train next on the outside. Leicester Thunder winners back on the rails. Followed then by Miss Melissa improving outside of La Destina. The A-Train Donarch is well back with Piaget, Cyclades. Freemason no speed at all early. Back to third last, then Little Miss Quick. And Old Tawny drops to the rear. 2,000 metres to go. Native Jazz takes over. Put back on the bit. Leads by 1 length. Armstrong sitting second on the outside. Pantani is 1 away.